Welcome to the Bassline, everyone. Today, this program enters a new frontier. We're crossing a critical threshold. We've had some amazing guests. We've had some real heavyweights in the medical freedom movement appear on these airwaves, providing us with incredible information and insights. But today, for the first time, we're talking to a vaccine injury victim. We're talking to someone who, under conditions of coercion, took an mRNA injection to retain their job and benefits and is now suffering horrifically. The extent to which my guest, Danielle Baker, has suffered is truly harrowing. The nature of her injury will make you shudder. She has suffered tremendously. Yet she has a powerful spirit, and she has not let her physical pain douse her courage. She is speaking up, and she is speaking out. Her quest for justice has put her at the center of a landmark case in the state of Ohio, and she's here today to tell her story. I'd like to welcome to the Bassline, Danielle Baker. Thank you, Danielle, for being here. How are you today?
It's been a rough week, but I'm okay today. I'm feeling a little bit better.
Okay. Well, thank you for taking the time to be with us. I know it's not easy, and I really feel for you and what you're going through. Today is your day. This is a chance for you to tell your story to an astute audience, and I just want you to start out by taking your time and telling us, first of all, about your life before you were injured. I know you were a nurse serving the community for over 20 years. I know you had a very active life, including a lot of outdoor activity with your family. And on a fateful day, you were injured very severely. But I'm going to leave it to you to share with us the details. Please tell us what's happened to you, please. The floor is yours.
I want to thank you for having me on. It really does mean everything to have an injured come on and speak, because it's a whole different perspective. Of course, we're all fighting medical freedom, but when you worked in the medical field and you then became completely disabled because of the coercion that was going on, it's a completely different outlook. So I appreciate you giving me the stage to share my story.
Oh, no need to apologize. By the way, Danielle does suffer with her speech because of her injury. So if you hear her struggling a little bit, please understand, this is one of the severe side effects of this very severe injury that she's suffered from. So please take your time, Danielle. No rush. We're here to listen to you, and absolutely correct what you just said. Your perspective is invaluable. Your perspective is not a pedestrian perspective here. You have the inside scoop in a way that the average person really wouldn't understand offhand. So please take all the time that you need to tell us what you've been through and basically what happened to you. Why are you known as the Coerced Nurse?
I would love to, and if any time during my speaking you have any questions or think I should clarify, please don't hesitate to let me know. My brain doesn't work like it used to because of the injury.
Understood, but you're doing a great job, so don't worry about it.
Thank you very much. Prior to taking the Pfizer shot, I had met my now husband, and in 2019, I had been a nurse for 20 years before my injury, and I was newly married in 2020. We had actually met at an assisted living that we both were contracted to work at. When I met my husband, I was at my healthiest. We brought together our families. He had a daughter. She He is now 11. I had a son who is now 10. We were always active. We felt that it was important to expose our kids to activity outdoors, and every weekend we were doing something. We were hiking or hunting, camping primitively. We just always were active. We thought that was extremely important. At work, of course, the declaration came in 2020 where they shut down everything, but I was working as a hospice nurse. I had been a hospice nurse for 17 years, and our jobs didn't stop. We continued to see our patients, and we befriended other patients too during the lockdown because they had no access to their family. It was really heartbreaking to see. The talks of the shot began in 2020, and I had made the decision that I didn't want it. I felt that it was too rushed. In history, well, I later found out that vaccines are never studied anyhow, but in the history that I knew at the time, this isn't how medications were approved. This was unheard of, and it scared me. And so I opted to not get it when it came out for healthcare workers, and I didn't want it. I acquired my own immunity in 2020. I had contracted COVID through working. We were constantly exposed in the field. Of course, our PPE, the personal protection stuff that we were supposed to have wasn't proper. A lot of times they had issues finding what we needed. So I had contracted COVID in 2020. At the end, in December, I came through that fine. I did have some lingering fatigue, and I had gone to the doctor several times to figure out what was going on. Then at the beginning in January 2021, my employer began to send out emails talking about the safety and the effectiveness of the shot, how we needed to get it, and they were trying to educate us about how safe and effective that it was. Some people went ahead and got it when it was released for the healthcare workers, and again, I opted not to. They began to send more and more emails. It began like once a week, and it proceeded to twice a week. Sometimes we got them several days in the week. All of it talking about how we owe it to our patients and our family to get the shot. It didn't exactly work, I think, how they wanted it to. So they put more pressure on us. They began to do lotteries, like $5,000 a week drawings. They sent out emails stating that they had offers up to $20,000 if a certain amount of people got it. What really influenced me was an email that was sent out that said if we don't have it by July of 2021, then be stripped of some benefits that they had offered, COVID benefits. I had a family, 2 special needs kids. I carried the insurance, and I felt that I had a safety net, I guess, in a way. I knew the mandate was coming. I felt the need that I needed the COVID benefit that they had offered. And so I began the series. My first one was June 4th of 2021. It was Pfizer. I didn't know it at the time, but about 3 weeks after my first shot, I had horrible back pain and went to the ER. I was diagnosed with a pulled muscle, but in reality, it was my body reacting to the shot. I went for my second shot, and after my second shot, that day, I had a fall, which was unusual for me. In that fall, I hurt my shoulder. It was the same shoulder that I had gotten my shot in, and my whole arm was numb and tingly, and it just didn't feel right. I couldn't really move it. My husband, he's an occupational therapist, and he looked at it and he said that it should probably be checked out. So the next day, we went ahead and went to the ER to have it checked out. That was the first time that I had thought that I had an injury, but not in the way it turned out to be. I had thought maybe they had placed the injection in the wrong place, and it affected a nerve, and that's why I was having so much pain and tingling and stuff in my arm. I had asked the physician assistant when we went to the ER if this could be related to the shot, and I got an immediate no, and I was in and out of there within 30 minutes without a diagnosis. I went to several different appointments, and I did find out in that fall I had hurt my shoulder. My AC joint was separated. So we assumed that was the cause of my issues. About 18 to 21 days later, it was July the 17th, I was in a car and I had that horrible back pain again. Over the next 4 days after that, the back pain, my body systematically started to shut down. The numbness and the tingling went from my right arm down to my right leg, over to my left leg, and up into my left arm. I lost my ability to essentially walk. I started losing control of my bowel and bladder. I was having issues with my memory, with my ability to put things together, and I knew something was wrong. I just didn't know what. I didn't want to go back to the emergency room. I had seen so many doctors, and so I decided that at a doctor's appointment I would tell them about it. So I had, at that point, over those 4 days, essentially lost everything. I was using a walker. I was dragging my feet. And when we went in to see the doctor, he recognized something wasn't right, sent me to another specialist the next day, and they ordered an outpatient MRI. I had another week before the MRI. And when I had the MRI, it came back saying that essentially there was demyelination in my cervical spine, C3 through 7. means is that the covering of her spinal cord is eroding away. I agreed to go to the emergency room, and in the emergency room we had a doctor who came in and sat down and said that he reviewed my chart and everything, and that he was sorry to tell us I had something called transverse myelitis, and the transverse myelitis was caused by the shot. And what that meant was that my body attacked my spinal cord and basically ate the coating that sends the signals from my brain to my body. And he said that his sister helped to develop mRNA technology many years ago and wasn't involved in it now, and told us that it was never meant for something like this, and that he was very sorry that this had happened. So I was hospitalized. Everything was ruled out that it could have been. And in October of 2021, I received my official diagnosis of the transverse myelitis caused by the shot. With this, it's kind of like MS. I have issues with walking. I have issues with my bowel and bladder, extreme fatigue, pain. There's no cure for it, unfortunately, and my life is completely different. I rely on people to care for me instead of me caring for them now. And as of late, 2 years later now, I have found out that the shot has now attacked my heart, and I am in diastolic failure. One part of my heart doesn't work correctly, and so now I have to face that too, among everything else that I'm going through. So it's it's been an extraordinary journey, that's for sure. There's a lot out there, but the people don't know or understand that's going on, and there are so many more like me that are enduring the hell that we have to go through every day.
Right. Well, oh my goodness, Danielle, it's so difficult to hear your story, honestly. It's just so gut-wrenching, and I'm so thankful to you for having the courage to share your story, because I know it's not easy to talk about. And I want to know if you've had any success whatsoever in terms of treatment. Have you found any relief whatsoever? Have there been any doctors who have been able to assist you in any manner in terms of your care under these conditions you find yourself in?
It seems like the traditional doctors don't have any answers. I get gaslit all the time. I just saw cardiology on Tuesday, and he basically said I need to exercise more and live my life and not worry about the fluctuations of 10-pound weight gains because of my heart overnight. There are doctors out there that are fighting for us. There's a lot of options as far as supplements and stuff like that, but they haven't been successful with us that are severely injured. Dr. Alan Bain, he's out of Chicago, and he has got the biggest heart ever. And he is one doctor that listens and that will help. He doesn't know exactly how to cure us, but he does everything in his power to help us find some relief. And there are other doctors as well that are fighting, but unfortunately, when it comes to us that are severely injured, it seems like that there's nothing that helps. And then you add on top of that all of the solutions that are offered, they cost money, and we don't have it. We've been financially devastated through all of this, and we can't afford those things, and insurance doesn't pay for it. So we're in a catch-22 to where if there is something that might help and we spend the money on it, most of the time it doesn't. And so we are out the money that we didn't have. It's just an endless roller coaster, and it's almost laughable sometimes because why isn't there a solution? Why are they not listening to us and helping us?
Right.
Why is the government and why is legislation, why are my own representatives not fighting for us to be studied and for us to get solutions? You know, it's so very frustrating because we just get more sick every day.
Yeah, I'm so angered right now. I have to be honest. My jaw is getting tight because I just find this to be so outrageous. I am so angered because this stuff was coerced on people. This was forced on people. People were threatened with their jobs. People already had their backs against the walls because of lockdown, not being able to go to work, falling behind on their bills, etc., being told you can't go to work. But, in the case of, New York, for example, I was one of those people put in a situation where, well, my rent is due and my various bills are due, but I'm being prevented from working for my health, as if poverty or homelessness is good for your health. But then it turns out these products are harming people, and there's many, many metrics that are indicating this. There are full-length documentaries with one testimony after another saying, I took this shot and I was injured. Obviously, they're not quote-unquote anti-vaxxers per se because they took the vaccine in the first place. And then the callousness, the same people who wanted to save everyone's life with the COVID shot, now they don't care when people are being injured and killed by the shot. What kind of twilight zone are we in? And then I get accused of being a so-called right-winger, for example. Well, really, is highlighting injustice a right-wing principle? That's not something I was familiar with as a so-called right-wing principle. I don't even care about this stuff anymore. These monikers, right-wing, left-wing. Are you a good person? Do you care about other human beings? I find it amazing some of the activists I know who spent so much of their time drawing attention to injustice have turned their backs on the vaccine injured. They would rather not know about it. They'll point to this injustice over there and that injustice, but they have chosen to take the strategy of pretending the vaccine injured don't exist. And I just find that just unconscionable. I can't believe this is going on. I don't even know what to say to people. I don't want to give up, but they remain, and I've used this word before, unfazed at everything that is presented to them. I don't know what is going on here.
It's like one of the favorite words is anecdotal. We're just anecdotal evidence.
Right, anecdotal.
And despite the fact that you can clearly see my injury and it's been confirmed, I still don't have a voice. And you are so correct. This isn't a political matter. The politics need to be taken out of this. They take eye drops off of the market when 3 or 4 people have injuries. And here we are screaming into a void about what is going on, and only a few hear us. And the ones that really need to hear us, like you said, they just turned their back. We don't exist in their world. And I'm sorry, but that they're humanity and ignore us. It's laughable.
Yeah, and I want Joe Biden himself not to engage in partisan politics because, we spoke on the phone a few weeks ago and we both agreed, well, we're both third-party individuals. I don't endorse any political candidate in any political party, but Joe Biden is the current president, and he did stand on his presidential podium and say that he was losing his patience with the quote-unquote unvaccinated. And to me, it places him in a different category than any other president in our lifetime. I do not recall the mass medicating of the public with presidential authority backing it. I mean, I just can't believe how strange this is. But then as the bodies pile up, literally, people dying and people being severely injured, he doesn't have to answer for it. Like they have these town hall meetings on television. I want a town hall where Joe Biden faces the vaccine injured.
Right.
He pushed these products. He's protected by the media. He's protected by these systems of mediation. These people need to answer for this. Why was Eric Adams, the inarticulate mayor of New York City, why was he promoting experimental drugs? Who put him up to that? I want to know. I want to see the financial transactions. What was he doing that he took it upon himself, along with the previous mayor who he replaced? How did these guys become vaccine pushers? They can't fix a goddamn pothole in New York City. They can't get the subway system or the bus system to run in a functional manner. But they've decided they want to be little Dr. Dooms and to tell everybody what medication they should take. I'm so outraged by the fact that ever happened, and then I'm twice as outraged at the lack of response to that and people not understanding this is not right. Politicians should not be trying to get you injected with things. They need to get back to the business of what they failed to do up until this point. So what can we do to get these people to answer for their actions? And how strange it was. Did you notice, Danielle, in the whole sort of play out of things before the public? Did you see this little pattern where Joe Biden himself, Barack Obama through Twitter, Albert Bourla of Pfizer, Anthony Fauci himself, Bill Clinton, they all read from the exact same script, where at one point or another, in a little window of time, one after the other, said, "Bad news, everyone. I've been diagnosed with COVID, but it's okay because I'm double vaxxed and I'm boosted, and now I'm taking Paxlovid."
Yeah.
They're so out of their minds, they don't realize that they just stated their vaccine doesn't work because now you're using another powerful antiviral intervention to do the job that the wonderful vaccine, didn't do in the first place. I mean, who is paying these people and who has the power to line up these powerful figures and get them all to read off of a script? I want to know.
Follow the money. That's my employer, I believe they've received millions of dollars from the government for this. And so therefore they're going to be the players in this facade of safe and effective and protect your patient. I mean, my employer questioned our morals and our ethics if we opted not to get it.
Right, for not experimenting with your body. What a shameful thing to do, not experiment with your body.
And one of the reasons I loved hospice is because of the autonomy and the ability to choose how you want your life to look. That was our core principle. And then to have them coerce people and then to mandate it goes against everything that they stand for. And then to completely deny that they have any wrongdoing in my case, it just outrages me. I spoke with Warner Mendenhall. He's a huge advocate for the vaccine injured, and he is representing Brooke Jackson, and he is just a big medical freedom fighter. He's an attorney in Ohio, and he suggested that I pursue a workers' comp case, and so we filed a case of workers' comp, and my former employer, their argument was that it doesn't fall back on them. They argued that, do I really have a vaccine injury? And so we have gotten to the point in my case that I have been awarded a trial by jury.
Good.
We lost in the workers' compensation arena. Good. Well, it's good in the way that now I've been granted the ability for a jury of peers to decide whether I have that right to participate. From a collection of people who are not paid actors in this whole situation get to decide. And I think that that's a good thing, because they'll be able to hear me and to see me and to see what somebody has to suffer with that has been injured by these products when they didn't want them in the first place.
Right. And I mean, your account is very detailed. So if anyone hears your story and would not rule in your favor, I'm claiming corruption. I don't understand how that could be possible, because your details are down to the minute. And actually, we're going to have Brooke Jackson. I want to announce to everyone here, I'm thrilled to announce Brooke Jackson is our guest next week. And if you're not familiar,
make sure you give her my love.
I will. And, I can't even say how important she is in all of this. Brooke Jackson versus Pfizer. If you're not familiar with that case, that speaks to an incredible media blackout or a whitewash, whatever you prefer. They're not covering essential stories that are happening in real time. Brooke Jackson versus Pfizer. That's where Pfizer said, oh, can we reveal our documents in 75 years? How's that sound? And the judge said, no, I'll give you a year, which I also find confusing, because if you're a corporation, why can't you just produce the documents on the spot? I mean, isn't a year of time to lose documents and tamper with documents? But he gave them a year, which is better than 75. And the 80,000 pages, I believe, that were produced are just full of deeply problematic text indicating fraud, indicating harms that they concealed, indicating that Pfizer, who was involved at one point in the biggest settlement in the history of the Department of Justice, was, guess what? Back to their old tricks. Is that so inconceivable? Like, that's another thing I find so crazy. Is it so outlandish to think that, well, there might be corporate corruption in a major corporation? Is that inconceivable? Is it inconceivable to think, well, maybe we have flaws in our regulatory process? You think everything is just going swell over at the FDA and the CDC, those perfect institutions? But I hope we have time to take some calls today. We do have approximately 20 minutes remaining in our show, but I would like to, before we get a little more info on your legal status, if you go into that a little bit further, I want to mention that Danielle has a Substack, The Coerced Nurse. Look for The Coerced Nurse on Substack, and please subscribe to her Substack. Please share her Substack. She's done some thoughtful writing, and everyone should hear her story, and everyone should take a look at what she's written, because she's done some really thoughtful writing on her Substack, and it would be a great way to support her, considering the struggles that she's facing at this time. But Danielle, just before we open up the phone lines, can you tell us where you stand with your legal case? When will you be appearing in court? Any other things that we might mention under the circumstances?
Absolutely. So, this year, we opted to put my case on hold because my health has just declined so much.
Right.
I couldn't. It was just the right thing to do. And I also needed some time to look at my legal team. I didn't feel very supported as much as I should. So I now have Warner Mendenhall representing me, along with Patrick Hollingsworth. So we'll be refiling, and we'll be getting a date for the trial. And we've kind of got my health figured out the best that we can. Unfortunately, the heart failure, cancers, myelitis, all of that are going to be lifelong struggles.
Right.
And it's a lifetime disability. Mm-hmm. But now we know what's been going on. So I'll be refiling, Warner, I should say, we'll be refiling my case to open it back up. So we'll get a court date in 2024. So I'll make sure to keep you updated on that.
Yeah.
I do also have a give and go if you just look up Danielle Baker. Any donations help to support us in medical, and sometimes I do go and speak when I am able to. So if we have any extra funds, we utilize it for that as well. We're going to have to start gathering expert witnesses and cost as well. So any support is appreciated on that. We want to bring this case forward because it can set precedents for many others that were coerced, mandated, and injured by the vaccine. And
Absolutely.
So many people, they don't even realize it at this point. It's really hard to see people that say, I was fine and now I'm not. And the only difference is that they got a shot that was experimental and data manipulated, and they can't connect it. That's really hard to see.
Yeah, there's a lot of that I'm seeing. There's a lot of that. I mean, I'm keeping my eyes and ears open, and maybe I'm a little paranoid at this point, but I'm seeing a lot of people come down with new medical problems out of nowhere, and it's pretty noticeable to me. I mean, I even made a Facebook post just saying people are dying at unusual rates, and I can tell just from the Facebook posts. I open up Facebook, oh my God, I lost my brother. Oh my God, I lost another friend. I said there's more. It's like going on Facebook sometimes, like Facebook obituaries. I don't remember so many people mentioning death. When I made that post, all of a sudden, even though I'm shadow banned, out of nowhere, dozens and dozens of people responded to that particular post with their own comments, which I take that as evidence unto itself. Maybe it's a big pile of anecdotal evidence, but it's evidence. And that's actually a good point that Steve Kirsch made on these airwaves. And congratulations, by the way, to Steve Kirsch. He made an incredible presentation at MIT last night, which I think is going to be a hallmark in the movement going forward. It was a major breakthrough. So there are breakthroughs being made, but it's so noticeable to me. It's so noticeable. I mean, I know without naming any names, of course, because I don't want to violate anyone's privacy, I know 3 world-class guitar players who have severe medical conditions now out of nowhere. I mean, people who are pretty healthy, active people playing their butts off, not in ill health, and all of a sudden, I know 3, not just guitar players, world-class guitar players with serious medical problems, like not normal. You know, I mentioned on the airwaves here, I believe before, I have a chess student, 6 years old, was hospitalized after his first shot, then hospitalized after his second shot, which, for goodness sake, why was he given a second shot? But I've never heard of any of my chess students being hospitalized in response to a medical product until this stuff started happening. So we do have a call on the line. I'd like to welcome Vincent from New Jersey. Are you with us, Vincent?
Yes, Jeremiah. It's Vincent from Plainfield, actually. And I'm thankful that I was able to get in today to speak with you.
Thank you. Oh, before you go on, let me just mention, because I keep forgetting this. I'm sorry. I'm so irresponsible. 888-874-4888. 888-874-4888. I forget to announce the phone number because it's like, oh, we're just a PRN family. But if you're listening for the first time and you don't have the number secured on your phone yet, that's the number, 888-874-4888. So please call in and join the conversation. But go ahead, Vincent. Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
That's okay. That's required to make sure that everybody else gets the information. Fortunately, I was able to hear you speaking to Professor Lees. That's what I call her. I think it was yesterday. And you describe yourself as a one-trick pony, only talking about the vaccines and injuries. Well, I might not be a one-trick pony, but I frequently have spoken out against this, actually going back from the beginning when it was first made public about this so-called virus, you know, and vaccine, so-called vaccine. I'll say the virus might be real, although it's been, modified, for the effect of making it more potent.
Right.
I once had to use the analogy of, listening to the War of the Worlds, The Wizard of Oz, maybe the Oz version with Diana Ross is probably more relevant to our, generation and our community, and the other, aspects of how they rolled out this plan, starting with Bill Gates, Anthony Fauci, to coerce, as you use the term, and Danielle, of course, and I'm very, sorry that you had to have that experience, and that hopefully you will find something that could help you to recover, certainly to fight back, in your battle that's, going on right now. But I am, not so much of a so-called anti-vaxxer, but there's certain things that I know, my experiences and, the things that I've been exposed to revealed to me when this was all rolled out, that this is not to be trusted. And I tried in every instance to warn people about what was going on. Mm-hmm. Hardly anyone would listen. Not that they consider me a quack or anything, but they're so caught up in, the being compliant and complacent, and they follow conventions. But I recently was speaking at my mother's church, and I made sure to warn people, please, whatever you do not take the shot. Do not take any boosters. If you have, don't take any more. The pastor had enough, I think, honesty and integrity to say, well, we'll take that under advisement. They said, because you ignore it at your own peril. Unfortunately, anecdotally, I have a whole list of family members and friends who have taken it, and they're no longer here. Mm. And, we have to do something, because from my vantage point, my perspective at least, I believe that this is the greatest threat to our people, and of course it will allow them to maintain control and dominion over us while we fight on other areas and distracted by all that's going on around us, so that we can't see what's actually, done against us. They're going as far as on a PBS special, they called it the Icon, in which they were lionizing Anthony Fauci, and I've spoken out against him as well on the radio and in public.
I do not understand the reverence for that man.
Yes.
To me, it's basically my metaphor for Anthony Fauci is like giving an award for Coach of the Year to the coach of the team with the worst record in the league. So there's more mortality in the U.S. Yay, Anthony Fauci, you did such a great job. No, you didn't. You did the worst job compared to every other ministry of health in the world. So why do you deserve to be commended? I don't get that at all. Never mind the criminal component of him clearly being connected with gain of function for years and years and years. Mm-hmm. I don't get it. Yeah. I think they were literally sending subliminal messages to people's brains somehow when he was on the podium or at the podium making his announcements. It's like, why are people reacting to him positively? He's not really saying anything that's that incredible, and he's suspicious as can be.
Absolutely. And him, Rachel Maddow, and all of this.
Oh, my God, Rachel Maddow. Please, I don't want to have indigestion
here. I walk out, but I lay down a complaint. My mother, being in her, they see oxygen there, and they believe so much in what they see and hear. And that, I said, when they're off camera, you wouldn't have anything to do with that person if you know who they are.
Right. You could drop dead in the middle of the street and they wouldn't even blink about it. They wouldn't even have one little thought about it.
No. And even in that PBS special called The Icon, Anthony Fauci, he admitted in a half-hearted way to funding gain of functions in Wuhan.
Right.
He said, just a little bit. Okay. All right.
Right.
So you should be comforted by that.
And one thing, by the way, it was at Georgetown University where Anthony Fauci, right as Trump was taking office, I don't even know if it was before or after Trump had taken the oath of office. It was right at the beginning of the Trump administration where Anthony Fauci was giving a speech in Georgetown, and he said, a few generic comments, and, we always have to be vigilant in our ongoing struggle against chronic diseases. And then he said, and there will be a surprise outbreak, which I found so strange. It's on video. He said those exact words, everyone, and there will be a surprise outbreak. Well, surprise, what do you mean? If you know, it's not a surprise, right? You know what's going to happen, so tell us. But he just said, and what I point to there is the phraseology that he chose. He could have said, and we always have to be prepared for a surprise outbreak that could possibly happen at any time. He didn't say something like that. He said, and there will be a surprise outbreak, which I don't know what's going on with that statement, but it's chilling. He just said it in such a wry way, almost out of context with the rest of his speech. And speaking of context, I wanted to use the term historical context. The reason why I didn't trust the COVID vaccine was based on an historical context of this country and its behavior. And how amazing how many activists, again, thought they were so brilliant by omitting historical context. Well, no, that's not brilliant. We're supposed to be students of history. But Vincent, brother, it's been great talking with you. We have another call on the line.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. I'll call back again.
Have you subscribed to my Substack yet, brother?
I have not, but tell me how. I'm not as sophisticated as some might be in terms of where to go and what to do.
Totally. So go to Substack.com. Look up Jeremiah Hosea. That's my Substack, Jeremiah Hosea, JeremiahHosea. And also look up The Coerced Nurse. That's Danielle's Substack, which is also
that I remember. Yeah, definitely.
So please just put your email in and boom, you're on the list. It's not like you have to push a bunch of buttons or do anything crazy. So for everyone who's been reluctant to sign up, please help us expand the reach of this program. I'm working really hard. I have guests lined up. I need to justify my actions to my wife because I'm so dedicated to this and I'm not earning income through this. So if you guys could please have a little compassion for a man with 2 young children, support the Substack, buy some music at jeremiahhosea.com. And thank you so much for calling, Vincent. We have Eduardo on the line from Brooklyn. Brother Eduardo, can you hear me?
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes,
Welcome
good
to the
afternoon.
airwaves, brother. Always great to hear from you.
Thank you. I commend you on having such a heartfelt guest. Danielle, I just want you to know, as someone who was previous in the health field, my heart goes out to you. My soul goes out to you, and I'm so glad that Brother Jeremiah brought you to our attention. Your testimony needs to be heard, and that is why I want to directly speak to you in saying the following. I'm so glad that you do have a legal team that is working on your behalf. I'm so glad that you have pursued all the medical intervention that you can avail yourself with, and I realize that money and the cost involved is going to be a problem, because one thing keeps, I heard your voice. I said to myself, my God, we need to keep this woman alive. And so I reach out to you and says, by any means necessary, keep your spirit strong, keep your faith and your hope strong during this absolutely maniacal ordeal. Now, 2 things. I will be subscribing to your Substack, that's for sure. Frontline COVID-19 critical care founder, Dr. Paul Marek. Does that name ring a bell by any chance?
I love Dr. Merrick. I actually had the opportunity to talk with him at a conference I attended in Ohio. He's a wonderful, wonderful man, and I appreciate your support and your thoughts.
Oh, absolutely. So he has quite a number of protocols that he came up with since 2020. And now that you have already been exposed and are familiar with this wonderful human, by the way, he got into trouble legally because the hospital where he was working from didn't allow him to treat his patients with ivermectin. So he's certainly somebody that I would like for you to at least avail yourself with as far as what protocols you can begin to get in order to stop the spike protein proliferation, especially since I heard you said that it is now affecting your heart, which is to be expected. So we need to stop the spike protein proliferation, and I think that Dr. Paul Marek and Pierre Corey, both from Frontline, can certainly assist. But in the meantime, Danielle, about 20, 30 years ago, I came across something out of necessity, and that was the Sedona method. This is something that you can learn to keep yourself strong on a very deep level. Please look into the Sedona method, because this is not going to cost you anything, and you can do it anytime you want, anytime that you feel the need. Embark upon this journey. I just wanted to share that with you, and I will be reaching out to you via your Substack. Much blessing and support to you. And once again, thank you, Brother Jeremiah, for bringing your guest on.
Thank you for your kind words and for your humanity, Brother Eduardo. Yeah, I think we just need to care about each other, folks. You know, I just think we need to just give a darn and not be callous and have compassion for each other. I mean, you know, I don't understand how someone could hear Danielle's story and not be moved by it. And yes, this struggle continues, everyone. There's actually an incredible thing going on that I've come across, which is there are groups of vaccine-injured individuals meeting in Twitter spaces every day throughout the day. I mean, you think these folks don't exist? Well, they definitely do. And they're meeting. At any given moment, you could go on Twitter. There's a Twitter space that's open. Click on the button, and there's dozens of vaccine-injured people, dozens and dozens, congregating virtually, sharing their stories. People who have undoubtedly been injured, people who have had their lives changed for the worse. That was one thing that really bothered me, and I've made this point before, is people say, oh, it's rare. Well, how rare? It always bothered me, the people who were so quick to say it's rare. Well, how many people are you referring to? Do you mean 100 injured people? That's a lot of people. Do you mean 1,000 injured people? Like 1,000 people is not a large percentage of, let's say, 180 million vaccinated people, but it's a large number of human beings. And it turns out that it's actually not 1,000. It's thousands upon thousands. It's millions. So please, folks, don't turn a blind eye to this. If you're a compassionate person, be compassionate through and through. We're running out of time, unfortunately. I have to wrap. Thank you for joining us on the Bassline. Thank you so much, Danielle Baker. We have your back. We will stay in touch with you and keep our listeners abreast of your story. And, strength and love and power to you and your family. I really hope that by some miracle you can have some relief and have some feeling of recovery and have some justice, which would be a victory for all of us. So thank you so much, Danielle Baker, and thank you all for listening. This is the Bassline. Tell your friends about it. Next week we have Brooke Jackson. So let's spread the word about that and make a big splash, because we have a celebrity, if you will, of the medical freedom movement, someone who put their neck out, and we need to know all the details about that. Brooke Jackson versus Pfizer. One love, everyone. Peace.